Everybody, this is Mr. Sawbladehead. I got a really cool build that I'm going to be working on right now. My client wants some cool office furniture, but this isn't your normal office furniture you're going to go buy from a store and everything is all flimsy and you got to put all the stuff together. Now, I come from a second generation skilled trades where things were made to last forever. Now, he loves the industrial style. I plan on making this thing industrial strength. So I got a bunch of different designs. I'm going to go ahead and give my client, see what he likes, and I'm going to combine all that stuff into something ultra badass and ultra strength. Now, I drew up several designs for my client to kind of pick and choose what he likes. Some of them may not have fit his style, kind of like a really cool intricate bridge design. I did one with more kind of scrap metal type of aviator with rivets and hand hammering, even kind of almost like a bank bolt type of thing. So he kind of told me what he was liking. He wanted something that was chunky with some I-beams. So rather than making a faux I-beam, because I wanted this to be a serious piece, I actually went with this design right here, and then I'll show you some of the builds of how I actually made the other decorative intricate parts in between. But what you see as I-beams right there, those are actual I-beams. So what I'm going to be doing now is I'm actually making basically faux base plates. Rather than having 1 inch thick or even half-inch thick plate, I'm doing a faux base for the I-beam structure. So what I'm doing is I believe this is 3/16 plate that I'm going to be cutting out for the arches, and then I'm going to reinforce that with 1 inch square tubing that's going to be 1/8 inch thick, and then when I weld everything on up, it's going to look like a 1 inch thick piece of steel. All right, now I'm cutting these things just to length for each side of the office table. Cut my trim pieces off. I'm cutting some 1 inch square tubing as well as some 2 inch square tubing, which is going to be used for some of the decorative pieces. Alright, I got all my base plates material cut, and now it's welding up of the framework for each side of the office desk, and I'm going to reinforce that with the top plate, clamping all that down so it doesn't flex. Even though it's a thicker material, it still can flex. Clamping all that down, weld that all solid, and then prep it for the I-beams. That's going to be the main structures for each desk. And right here, and these are decorative gussets. They're obviously not structural whatsoever, purely for decorative. These are 1/4 inch thick material. As you see, once I get the I-beams on a 90 degree, I will add the gussets onto it. Purely aesthetics, but it definitely gives you that strength and that girthiness to the build. Go ahead and sand down some of that surface rust, but it's got some beautiful red patina on it that when I go ahead and clear coat that, those colors are just going to go ahead and pop. So I'm just going to prep this material. I'm also even thinning down the edge where I'm going to be welding so I get better penetration, because I'm going from an I-beam thickness, which is roughly about a little bit less than 1/4 inch, down to an 1/8 inch plate so I can get proper penetration. Right now I'm just going to go ahead and weld those gussets onto the I-beam. Like I said, I don't need to sand those down like I did with the I-beam to the base plate, because they're purely aesthetics. They're not structural whatsoever. Now what this is going to be, this is a decorative insert piece to the main office desk. Now I'm making this out of 2x2 square tubing, thin wall, 16 gauge. Now this is the flat bar. It's 2 inches by 1/4 inch thick. Now this is going to get welded to the front fascia, in which this is going to get, I'm actually going to be burning out the holes for the all thread, and this is going to get connected to not only the front, but it's also going to connect the left and right to the I-beams themselves. Alright, so using a piece of flat bar as a straight edge, I'm going to cut my front plate. This is for the fascia of the office desk. I'll cut that on out. Now the framework is the same, but just with 2-inch square tubing rather than 1-inch square tubing. So I did a basic framework just like the first base plate, put the plate on top, go ahead and stitch weld all that, everything being clamped on down, so this way the actual plate doesn't warp, as well as the framework themselves. I have I think they're 1-inch nuts that are already been sanded and then just welded on. These are purely for decorative, kind of give you that blacksmith rivet look. And moving on with more just decorative pieces, and these are just welding all the decorative nuts, kind of give it that rivet look. It's going to make everything pop and actually make things a little bit more realistic, like you would actually see on a piece of I-beam. Now this is one of the decorative inserts. Once again, it's 2-inch square tubing, and I decided it needed a little bit something else to it, so I decided to go ahead and just stress cut section out and then use expanded metal over top of it. As with a lot of my other builds, I like a lot of layering, I like different textures. And also not keeping the expanded metal in a vertical position, tilting it diagonally. Once again, this gives it a little bit more movement. And it also gives it that kind of industrial look that I'm going for. Now another way that I get additional texturing is kind of my signature style, is actually taking the welding process and the bad techniques and giving me the textures that I want. Just kind of sand that down a little bit, and then go ahead and put that expanded metal on top at the diagonal, weld that solid, and it is ready to go. Now here, once again, this is for the side desk, similar in design, but we're just going to go and weld those all thread pieces. Once again, purely decorative, just to connect both of these I-beams together. Similar build, but this is the side desk to the main office desk. Now here's the main desk, and this is those decorative pieces, those inserts that I was telling you about. Now I'm welding the all threads onto this connector piece. I'm going to go ahead and lift that on up with a piece of 2x2 square tubing, position it, weld it in place. Bam! It's money. Now this is the top framework, and this is where the wood tabletop is going to go inserted into it. But I wanted a metal framework to base it around it to really make the wood top pop. And as well, hey, this is an industrial strength piece, and this is how it's going to go look, and it's really going to set that wood off. Now this is the side table. Now I'm prepping for the connector pieces to the tabletop to actually insert and slide into those connector pieces inside of each piece. Now with these connector pieces, these are actually levelers for the tabletop themselves, done with connector pieces, mainly pipe and nuts and all thread. This is the side table. I'm going to go ahead and do a setup, level all those out, tack them in place, square everything on up, and then I can continue welding things solid. Here's the main desk, which I'll need to go ahead and I'm marking for my connector pieces. Level them out, square it up. Alright, now everything's done. Just mainly kind of sanding some things down, get some of the look I'm going for, prepping everything for clear coat, and I'm actually just using an additive called Penetrol, which is usually an additive you throw into paint. However, I like the way that it goes over very heavy, very clear. And here is the final design of industrial strength. Well, that is a wrap for industrial strength. Who makes industrial furniture out of I-beams? This guy does right here. This thing will last forever, probably a nuclear holocaust. Hey, but that's how I build things, and that's how things should be built. You're going to build the stuff to last, make it look so badass. And I hope you enjoyed it. So hit the like button, hit the notification so you get all the notification from Weld.com cool stuff, and subscribe to Weld.com.